So today we have tried provisioning the virtual networks, virtual network peering, and Gembox and the photoscan scheduler. So we have tried provisioning this using the modules which we have developed. And now this time go ahead and deploy a public IP address and a key vault, and we will consume the secrets from the key vault. How would we do that? So I'm not going to provision Azure Key Vault uh, from Terraform, but I already would have provisioned the Terraform Azure Key Vault in Azure subscription, but I'm going to utilize it. So meanwhile, I'll create a Bastion service for the Jumpbox VMs to be created. So here is the VM where and I have to create a Jumpbox Bastion service for this. So what is a Bastion service? Instead of every VM having its own public IP address to connect to internet, Azure says that let me secure it. You create a Bastion service for a particular virtual network, and all the VMs in it will have a public IP whenever it is needed. Okay. So when a user is to connect to a virtual machine, instead of having a public IP attached to this VM, there will be a service called Azure Bastion service, which will have public IP always, and internally will get connected to the VM from the private virtual network, and that service will send that entire RDP or SSH over the internet to the user. So this way, you are securing the machine not to have any public IP address, and there is an external service in Azure from the which comes in and tries to connect external service within Azure itself. When we say external service, it's not outside the Azure, within the Azure. The service comes and attached will connect to the virtual machine through a private network which we have created, and this service will create a public IP for the user. Will have a public IP and user connects to that, and automatically Bastion service will understand that user wants to connect to that VM. So in this way, uh, there is a more to it, the more concept involved in it. Like it is, you can connect to the Bastion service from browser itself, so you can do RDP from the browser itself. So Bastion service provides that RDP and SSH packets can be transferred through HTTPS. So let me not get into that one at this point of time. I wanted to say, uh, as a security feature, organizations prefer to have Bastion service enabled for the Jumpbox VMs. Uh, let's do that. So here I'm trying to provision a VM, and then I wanted a Bastion service. So I'll go for Google, then I go for Terraform. I say Bastion service. There it is, Azure Bastion host. After VM gets created, examples deploys an Azure Bastion host instance to a target virtual machine. I create a network, resource group, and network subnet, and what else? Need to have a public IP address. Okay. Then I have to create a uh, this one, Bastion service. Which subnet ID should I send? Create the Bastion service. Seems this is a one time, so we'll go and do it. So I'll create this in the module itself. copy this, I'll paste it here. Now I'm going to say need the virtual network. Why? No need. I need a subnet ID specifically. And I'll take the var tf and I'll say variable uh, what I wanted, subnet ID, type equal to string. Then I need public ID, public IP ID, because if you look at it, we are passing the public ID. Don't want to create the public IP here. This is a module, so it only has to create network. If you see here, it is only creating network, and so everything has it creates their own. Uh, it's creating only peering here. If it is creating only machine here, same thing. This is will create only fashion service. So I'll have to create a module for public IP. Type equal to string, and I'll create another folder in modules, which is public IP. Same, I'll copy the main.tf and I'll create and here it needs resource group specifically and a public IP prefix. So I have to create a var.tf, copy it and paste it here. Public IP prefix string. Now it needs resource group, right? So I copy the RG. So I copy this, paste it here. Now I'm going to say Terra Archie add.rg name. So the variable is type equal to string and var.rg name. So it will pull the data, the resource group, and I go here to reference data dot location and do interpolation and say var dot rg. It's public IP prefix, right? If I look at it, public IP prefix and passion. I'll just mention this one. That will be the public IP prefix will be passion itself. Okay, that will be consistent based on which for what. Hmm, standard skew. This is done. I have to use output.tf. Copy this. I'll paste it here. Output.tf, and I need to have public IP ID, right? Uh, There I have to mention here. This is Archie Trabashin. I'm referencing this so that I can call it from my script. This is public IP ID. This is done. This is done. Close this. So network public IP is done. So I'll do a final look on it. Main put I'm sending end of the day public IP ID of the bastion service, and then I have public IP.tf with respect to I have the bastion prefix and RG name .tf. I should not name this as bastion, right? Uh, this is the public IP. I have to use it only for whenever I create it. So this I say PIP, so that it is like public IP and PIP, public IP address, and referencing also. It makes sense. I can give bastion PIP. So in the public IP prefix, I have to send bastion PIP. Now this is done. I'll create bastion.ta. I'll copy this. So here, just like this, var.tf to copy it, and var.tf. Yeah, archie.tf. Paste archie name. Right, string. Data dot archie.name and location and bastion service. So here I have to give bastion prefix. Type equal to string, and I will not create much of it. var dot bastion prefix. Configuration, there I need subnet ID and public ID. So here I have to just can var dot subnet ID, var dot public IP ID. So I get this. Once I do it, so this is enabling the bastion service here, and this is enabling the VM here. Mm. So this is in good shape. So I'll go here, the main, I'll just minimize the modules. So I'll create bastion.tf, and I have to create a separate service subnet called bastion subnet. Because if I remember, if I go, because you have to start relating it to Azure bastion service. Go about Azure bastion, I go here, deploy with manual settings. Deploy Azure on virtual VNet. So do I deploy? Go to Azure virtual network, open the page, bastion, deploy, configure manually, create. So name you wanted to give for bastion service in which region, queue is standard or not. Okay, instance count, hosted scaling, and then virtual network settings drop down, configure subnet. You have to definitely give Azure bastion subnet. So here I wanted to create VNet in this. So in this one network, I wanted to create bastion, right? So in this photo scan itself, I will give Azure bastion. Where is that? Azure bastion subnet. It will create a network for it, and but I have to go and call that, right? How will I get the network sub bastion ID? Hmm, that would be interesting. So how did I get here for VNet VM? Subnet ID. I think I can call it in the same way. Subnet ID. Yeah. So let me go here and just copy the bastion service. I have to copy the module, right? So module uh, bastion for post scan net. So what are the things which I needed? I need first the source equals under modules uh, bastion to go with. Once that is done, I have to give the variable names and everything. So the RG name equals data.photoscan because that is where the resource group it is. And then I need to give the mm, I need to give this RG name. So how do I give this? Give this RG name. Next one is public IP ID. So I have to create public IP ID. Public IP for Bastion. Source equals modules public IP, and then RG name equals. So I wanted to create a public IP within this subnet, or I can choose to have a subnet resource group for it. It's fine, whatever it is works. Mm, This is and has public IP prefix. And public IP prefix is Bastion. So it will go and send Bastion PIP, and it is creating it. Bastion-PIP. Okay, and once it is done, I will close this. Now var.tf is referring to this one. Now here I wanted to have the public IP ID. I will have the public IP ID module dot public bastion dot. Now the output I have to reference. This is done in the subnet ID. Subnet ID is there's the one which I copied here, right? Close this. Instead of jump box SN, I'll keep Azure Bastion SN. We'll get the subnet ID too. Just a second, guys. So Bastion, Photoscan, VNet, and this is done. So all subnet ID and public IP ID, name. So and we have left with Bastion prefix. And I just wanted to confirm when I create Bastion service, create it for a specific VNet. IP configuration required public subnet ID and the public IP address. Okay. I'm going to say photo scan, and the prefix, once I give it, what it is going to get created here, prefix is photo scan bastion. Yeah, we are going to do this, and the subnet ID is not Azure Bastion, I guess. Subnet ID, which I have to create here, required in which Bastion host has been created. Reference to a subnet in which the Bastion host has been created. Okay, changing the force of new reference creating. So if I create this subnet, so if you see, I'm just trying to relate to the Azure concept. So the subnet which I'm creating, which VNet, uh, selecting that is what a Bastion service needs. So I'm sending that Azure Bastion subnet VNet. So it is creating for that specific network. Okay, I'll copy this module and I'll use that module in public ip.tf. And yeah, let's go and do this. Clear the screen. Copy the path. I'll do Terraform init. Clear the screen. I'll do Terraform validate. That is good. Terraform FMT. And that is good. Terraform plan. If I get any errors, I'll get to know that. And I'll go to Azure portal and look at, do I have resource groups, everything set in place. Resources. Okay, they were deleted. We have Terra RG, Protoscan RG. Okay, these are not readed. I'll keep that later on and I'll see the plan. Okay, now if you see, the Photoscan RG was not found. This because yesterday I tried destroying it and then I got an issue there and deleting the state. I'll do a Terraform plan. I've done a Terraform destroy, and because once you delete a prior VNet peering, uh, one of it, it will delete automatically the rest of the peering link, the other peering link in the VNet. And because of it, even the virtual network got deleted. Terraform threw that error. So this is a common. So, so what did I do here is to delete the state file at this point of time, or I can go into state file and I can make some changes in Kinface. I should not be deleting this one. So the photo scan, protoc scan RG. So I have this here RG. Okay, under the modules network.tf. Let me go and search that modules network.tf vpeering.net. Under the Terra VNet 2 data uh, variable. Okay, Terra VNet was not found. This depends on so I have to get this before I get this. So what it is trying to show an error saying that first create the virtual networks because I'm pulling the network here and mm, those are not being created yet. So first pull the virtual network, create it. Just a second, guys. There's nothing can be done at this point of time. The problem here is I using data source as uh, the modules, which should not be done. Suppose I have the resource group created, so it is not having any problem. But if I have any other things, that will create an trouble. So here, if you see, I am passing the uh, Azure network this one. So instead, if I because once you do init and you do this apply during this point of time, plan or apply, it is trying to first perform all the data sources and it is looking at resource. And at this point of time, data sources are not active, so they are not there, which are VNet 1 and they are not being provisioned. That is creating an issue. So if you see here, it was saying that that the VNet network is not existing because I tried to read the existing VNet and all that. So this is not gonna work. So instead, for my peering, why am I calling this specifically? Is because I need to have VNet gname and this both. I need this both sources. I need the ID of it. I need the what do you say uh, gname of it. So instead, I'll create a variable here. Instead of creating all these variables, I'll create VNet one details, and I'll say equals object, I believe, or map, whatever it is, Terraform variable. So map in type of it is string. How will I go for this one? Because I have too many programming uh, mindset. I was like, don't want it to take much of it. Map this. They are key value pairs, but still I wanted to keep in mind. The default is just map and we have to give it string. And then I'm going to say the default value is, it's fine. Default value is keeping any default values. We'll keep this one VNet2 details. When I'm calling the VNet1 and VNet2 from this peering, this is for peering, right? So I go here. Where am I doing the peering? I'm doing the peering itself here. So let me not do the peering here. Create a peering VNet peering.tf. And here, instead of passing this, I'm going to say VNet1 details. I'll going to say this RG name. RG name equals I need name equals I need I'm creating the VNet, right? Will it give me so VNet is going to create this network, and here I do have network.tf. So output mm, source Azure virtual network and all this. This is this one. Sorry, I was just kind of confused here. So this is output.tf and then I have network.tf. And why am I getting here photo subnet? Should mention subnet itself. Hyphen subnet because I'm just creating subnet. Here output, I'm going to say subnet. And I'm going to say here vnet p value equals Azure RM Terra.id. So because why am I doing it? So I can reference here this ID, vnet ID, and that is nothing but uh, module, right? Module dot, here that is photoscan.vnet. The output is net ID. Similarly, the other one is vnet2 details. It is going to be the same thing, and this time this is heavier, and the local instead of this going to be heavier vnet name, and the module will be, if I go here, this is the one. So this I can remove it. This is having vnet peering. Why am I doing this? Because I'm getting error here. This one, this data errors are coming from vnet peering module itself. So I'm just doing that one. So I'm removing the data sources and referencing that one. So here I could that vnet peering, but when I go here, what var.tf has been resolved, rg name has been resolved, uh, rg name, mm, mm, so I don't need this. Here this map is there, and default string, I have to define the objects. So if I go here, Terraform object, this is more of saying what type of things will be there in that. So object, the one is we go, and if I go and look at this one, these are the ones which will be there. So this is a string, even this is a string, and even this is a string. And if I go here, so instead of me saying this var dot vnet details, and I'm going to call rg name. Same thing here, vnet name. You can actually say here list of objects also. I'm not doing it to not to make it more complicated. And here I'm just saying vnet name, vnet name. I'm passing this values. Here I'm going to mention vnet1 details, vnet1 name. The same thing. But this time this is vnet2 details because that's a remote ID, right? So this is 2, this is vnet1. This is done. Okay. So I think it's all in good shape right now. Auto scan vnet ID. So when I call this one, I'm ensure that the output is being called. So this, now I'll do Terraform init first. I'll clear the screen. Terraform init and Terraform validate. Okay, I have got a couple of errors. Let me go and resolve that. One is uh, network.tf init name. Um, modules not network, vnet peering network. Here, this is there, and this is not needed. Okay, I'll clear the screen. Now again, I'll do Terraform validate. Now, peering.tf. In peering.tf, I have used fix. So this one I have to reference here. Okay, this is done. Clear the screen. I'll do Terraform validate. Because the referencing, I removed the variables, right? Some variables, so that is creating. So this is done. Now plan is FMT. I'm going to do FMT. Yeah, clear that. Now I do Terraform plan. Hope you got the process. So that's the reason why we always say first do the init so that you initialize the modules, then you do the validate so that you are validating the entire one. So when you do the plan, get the most of the runtime errors which could possibly can encounter. but it's kind of a semi one, but still it's going to check from the Azure RM what could be done. Okay, so it's getting created. Now I'll do Terraform apply or hyphen auto approve, and let's see this goes. So any questions, guys? So let me repeat what just I have done. Uh, I created a Bastion network. So this Bastion module and everything, and this to happen. Okay, so I was not taking care of the final naming conventions. That is the weak part here. But anyways, I should have properly edited these things. Okay, I'll do the final edit after the scenario is done. But I create a Bastion service, and in the Bastion service, it needs what resource group it is going to create, all that, and then uh, it's what do you say? If I go with var.tf, I'm giving the prefix. I'm giving sending the subnet ID because this public IP ID and public IP and subnet ID is both are important for it. Bastion to get created. Now this is done. I create a public IP. So whenever anyone wants to create public IPs, they can just use this module to create this. So here mentioned output of public IP ID, creating the uh, public IP here. So for creating a public IP, I need a resource group and I need a fix for the naming conventions. This is done. So when I did this, the only mistake which I have done yesterday is um, the VNet peering has worked. The reason is because already networks got provisioned, and when I did data sources, it it has worked because the networks are already created. And now when I'm trying to run it, it is not allowing it because those are not created. So to reduce this kind of issue, I created a variable which is going to need RG name, resource group name for the peering to happen, and the VNet name and the VNet ID. Okay. So similarly, the VNet 2 details. So when the peering is going to happen, it's going to send the resource group name, VNet name, and VNet ID. Let's see if it is going to get created. So all these things are getting created. Only the Bastion service is going to take some good amount of time for to get created, but the rest of the things I believe shouldn't have any issues. So Windows VM, okay. So what all got created? If I look at it, it got created, public IP got created, and see creation complete. Then virtual network got created. That is, what is this? Virtual network. This is photoscan VNet, and this is AVIA VNet. Okay, now the next one is creation complete for subnet. Subnets in that, and it is going and creating a peering between two links, and that peering has been done. So now it started creating. Okay, till the subnets get creating is getting created. Okay, there are subnets which got created. So it started creating a VM, and that is done. And now it is creating Bastion service. This is going to take some time, and I believe even if it is get created, there are other VMs which have to be created also. That is photoscan. No, scheduler. Let me go and check whether those are ones created. I go here, photoscan, and yeah, the PS scheduler is nothing but as per this diagram, it is photoscan scheduler because the naming should not be large, so I just made it PS hyphen scheduler and jump box. The both are there. It is creating the Bastion service. So it's going to take some good amount of time for the Bastion to get created, but this is done for public IP. So I can create Azure Key Vault. Because I don't want users to get to know uh, anything related to Azure Key Vault data and all. So because when I'm creating the VMs, I am is it? I'm hard coding this secrets. Sorry, I'm hard coding this username and secret, right? Which I don't want it to happen. So for that, I'm going to here use Key Vault if create a in this one I'll create a key vault. RG US disable port protection. So like it's 7 days minimum standard. I believe I'm getting added here. Mm, all networks. Go ahead and create it. I think this going to take a Bastion service going to take some 20 minutes. But meanwhile, let me complete this. So I'll go here and I'll look for Azure Key Vault. And I need the data source, right? So Azure Key Vault. There it is. And I wanted only secrets. So Azure Key Vault example, and you give the Key Vault uh, key and so here I have to give attribute secret name Key Vault ID. Attributes is names and secrets defined. ID of the secret. Okay. It's just so let me refer anything which I have. Data. I'm looking for example point of view. Deploy key vault and manage. Created a this one, this for too much. Secret value, KV, secret name, and secret value. Mhm. Not looking for this. Okay, this is not happening. Secrets, you can get it. I want to get a specific secret, I can do that. Hmm. So I'm not going to go at this loop point of view. Sure, data RM secret. You just need one specific one. I started looking at the wrong one. So one is VM password. I need the key vault ID. Okay. So for that, I will say Azure key vault, and I can give this. And then similarly, I can say this. This is VM password. Mm, this is, I'm going to say jump box. Username. And the key vault is photo scan KV. And I'll say photo scan KV. Okay, I mentioned Vault, right? Sorry. This name is Volterra. So, and resource group is Terra-Archie. But when I'm calling in modules, I can't reference it. Instead, I have to uh, pass the values and all that. So in this var.tf, I can say variable KV RG var dot kvg type equals string, and then uh, the vault name. So I can say kv details instead. Say object kvrg equals string and kv name equals string. When it is going and passing the values, data kv details var dot kv details and kvrg. And this is done. kv name, I also have to refresh that one same way. Instead here it is kv name. This is done, and this photo scan id, photo scan id. So when Windows VM is being called, I have to ensure that they are calling kv details equals this both. Is RG. The RG is Vault and Terra, and the key vault is Terra RG. Now I'll copy the same thing and I'll paste it here. Terra-RG, vault-Terra. And I have to go inside this one and I have to create secrets. One is Jumpbox username, one is Jumpbox password. Now if it is this, username is trainer, and no need of this. Set activation date, it is not needed. Enable the secret. Then next is Jumpbox password. Then this is Indian @1234567, and they're created. Just and fast. Clear this. So next time, whenever I create, it is going to only reference it based on that. So I can do Terraform validate C to check. First, I have to do Terraform init, Terraform validate, Terraform fnt, Terraform plan. Fashion service got created. If I look at the source group, We have the bastion service enabled. You can go into jump box. Even I don't have the public IP for the jump box because I didn't create one, but you can use bastion service to create it. So there it is. It's using photoscan jump box bastion provisioning say, and I give trainer. So if you see all the reference, it's doing the refresh and everything, guys. Changes to the existing infrastructure. Okay. Now, password provided from key vault. I can actually give this one in Indian at the rate 1234567. Let me see if I can connect to the Bastion service. If the provisioning is not working, so it takes time, but yeah. Now if you see, I'm able to do RDP into this machine. Okay. So guys, I think we have completed that one. Yeah, there are more to it I can do, but I wanted to jump to the other of the next scenarios. The next scenario, if you look at it, it is more on do we deploy the Terraform using Azure DevOps. All the while we have tried uh, doing certain things here, right? Okay, but this time we are doing it always locally, Terraform apply plan and all that. So next time we will create from Azure DevOps. I'll create some pipelines where when we are assigned user stories, how you locally do it in your machine and how you should back it to the Azure DevOps, your branch, and that will trigger some Terraform pipelines. I believe that's equally also very important. Yeah? Please prepare on this, guys. If you have any questions, you can tell me. You can ask me. Sorry for